your harmonic temple, this amazing body, this vessel that our soul resides in. Today, we're going to discuss up-leveling the vibratory frequency of this body, of your harmonic temple. This is so exciting for me, and many of you may, and some of you know, that I'm a food geek. So, I'm kind of like this nutritional kind of, I've studied it for years. I've hung out and talked with just the greats of the greats. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study, Gabriel Cousins, David Wolfe back in the day. Back in the day, when I'm talking back in the day, I'm talking 15, 20 years ago, when eating raw food, being high raw was a cool thing. And you become so nutrified. And this is going to be kind of fun for me because when I talk about this, there are words and sayings that I don't typically use in conversations. But today, we're going to talk about how to, again, up-level the harmonic temple. So welcome, evolutionaries. So the first thing I want to do is talk about food itself. And what about food? Because most people just kind of follow the standard American diet, which the standard American diet stands for the SAD diet. These people do not know what they're doing. As a matter of fact, they're trying to aid you and toxify you. They're trying to promote, because they're in league with the medical association. Now, I know you're saying, oh, come on, Joe, really? Yes, once you watch this video, you'll actually see and have a greater understanding of exactly what they're doing to dethrone you and take you out of the game so you can't mature and think for yourself, because they're doing so many things with poisons and toxins in the plants and the foods that we eat and other things, which I'll share, which will be a complete shocker to you. And I know there'll be a shocker, because when some of the military guys I know shared it with me, I was shocked because it was really kind of like just an eye-opener. So back to food. So let's talk about food for a second. So when we talk about food, we have really a spectrum of living foods to dead foods. Now, so what is a dead food? Well, a dead food is anything that is cooked over 118 degrees, because over 118, some say 117, 116 degrees, and I don't know the correlation in Celsius off the top of my head, but let's just say 118 degrees. Anything cooked beyond that, it changes the heat, changes the structure of proteins and other things as well. It kills all the enzymes in the food. So essentially, you're eating dead food. And then, of course, if you're eating living foods, carrots and other things that are alive, or even dehydrated foods, because dehydrators do a special thing where they obviously remove the moisture, but they never go above 118 degrees. So these foods are alive. So what is the point of that, Joe? So big deal. Well, you're either, because you have a life force, right? And so this life force is what's going to enable you to live fully and functionally, being sharp of mind and everything that goes with that. And so if you are having a strong, vibrant life force, then you will just enjoy life, have fun. You'll be aware, you'll be awake. Those people that have been dulled, that have no life force, or their life force is greatly reduced, are the ones that are falling victim to what is going on today. These people have been stupefied by the foods that they have eaten. And I know you're thinking, Joe, that's a pretty bold claim. But when you think of life force as an example, if you eat something dead, and I'm going to pick on steak for a minute, and some of you may eat steaks, and I will hopefully shift some of that thinking, or just like a lot of meat, by the end of this video. Because again, my goal is to raise and up-level the vibratory structure of your harmonic temple, which is your body, and give it, your soul, this amazing beacon in which it can reside in this lifetime. So again, if you are eating dead food, your life force is decreasing. And this does a number of things. But if you're eating living food, your life force increases. Your life force increases. It only makes sense, right? You have to look at averages. If I'm eating something, and I look at people that are my age, and look, I'm encroaching on 60. And these people are like in their 40s, and it's like, Oh my God. And then not only that, but they're fat and this and that, and they just, and it's only because they've fallen victim to these food companies which have done this, these atrocities. I mean, these are atrocities. And these atrocities where they are toxifying you. So they have got you eating all of these different things, these processed foods, which are dead, number one, but they've got chemicals in them. And it's like the old TV commercial, you can't eat just one Lay's potato chip. Why is that? Because they know the flavor sensations of each person and and how the human mind and sensories work. And so they have actually corrupted the taste. Yeah, it tastes good, but they do it on purpose, just like the cigarette companies did. As a matter of fact, the food companies now own a lot of the old cigarette companies, which are now selling in different parts of the world. So they know exactly what chemical structures to use in order to get you addicted to eating really, really bad stuff. So what I want to challenge you to do is start thinking about increasing the amount of plants that you eat. You want plants? Well, yes, plants are raw living foods. So plants have a higher level of nutrification. And I can tell that most people out there, and I talk to people all the time around this, in addition to all my spiritual crazy stuff, but I talk to people all the time about food, and I see that they are deficient in so many things. Iron, some of the trace minerals, I mean, just so many things. And if you know how to coordinate the bioavailability, and again, this is the word bioavailability, with what you're eating and nutrifying your body, you really can heal, and you're energetically just engaged, and you're up-leveling the harmonic frequencies of your body. And it's really exciting when you think about that. So nutrification and bioavailable. So what does bioavailable mean? It means that when you eat something, that it immediately becomes a resource for your body. So very limited digestion. When you eat something that's not bioavailable, and again, I'm going to pick on meat, it's dense, it's dead, the protein structures change. People talk about it, or the evil guys talk about it as this rich source of protein, which really it's not, because when you cook meat, the protein structure is corrupted and it gets reduced by 50% or more. So what they tell you in a regular slab of meat, if you will, is completely different than after the meat is cooked. Now, if you want to eat meat, that's fine. But eat organic meat, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through this. So bioavailability, eat raw living foods. So this is called high raw. And again, it's something that I lived by. I was vegan for over 10 years. And then during that 10-year period, for 3.5 years, all I ate was raw food. So no cooked food, nothing. And I can tell you, it was the most angelic experience that I ever felt. I felt so close to God. So why is that? Well, my body was fully nutrified. I mean, I was living in a state of pure bliss for those 3.5 years. And what happens is that the body just becomes almost like breatharians. And if you're familiar with breatharian, you begin not only just being fully nutrified from the food itself, but just the elements and what you're around really nutrify the body. And it's really a novel and exciting concept. So think about your life force. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about real briefly is detoxing and cleansing. So your body, especially if you have been following the standard American diet and bought into some of these things like paleo and other things, which again, I'm trying to keep this video relatively short, but I'm sure I'm going to run at least 20 plus minutes. But the key is to cleanse your body. So just like the pipes in your house, after 10 years, and like I said, I'm encroaching 60, those pipes get encrusted. I know you're going, Joe, that's pretty gross, but it's true. And so you've got to detox your body and continually detox your body. If your body smells, typically that is from rotting meat. Okay, Joe, turn the video off now. No, but it is. So your body is unable to process what you're doing. And so most people use, as an example, antiperspirant. I haven't used antiperspirant in at least 25 years. Why is that? Well, number one, it's got aluminum. Aluminum goes into the brain and causes Alzheimer's, so I would never do that. And then number two, your body has specific mechanisms to expel toxins. And under your arms is one. And it is something that needs to flow. And of course, when you eat a very healthy, clean, nutritious diet, you don't smell when you sweat. And of course, guys sweat, women glow. So this is very important to understand. And of course, there are things you can do in addition to not just doing that, but colonics. You can do enemas. And as a matter of fact, I mean, we'll just let my hair down now, I had a colonic last week. So even I, now, even though I eat better than majority of people on the planet, still go in and make sure that everything is functioning and clean so that I can maintain a higher level of energy throughout my body. Because really, the number one consumer of energy that your body does, no, it's not sex, but that's number two. Number one is digestion. So your body, when you eat something, especially something that's dense and processed or whatever, your body has a very difficult time processing it. It's something that doctors won't tell you, and they want you to go to, with these diets and things, is that the body is really intelligent. So what I want to say here is that your body, when you eat these toxins, I'm not saying you because you guys are brilliant, you're evolutionaries, but other people, when they eat these toxic foods, your body is brilliant. It is God created this temple as a genius temple. It actually pulls the toxins out of your body away from your organs, and it puts it into your skin, into your fat. And so this is how your body protects itself. So if the people that are eating poorly don't know how to protect themselves, your body does that. And then this is how people getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they're incredibly toxic. And not only toxic, but their digestive system has shut down. They're not getting the nutrification. People start turning yellow and different things. It's pretty crazy because and most people are not aware, but because of my background and hanging out with naturopaths and holistic doctors and just the crowd I used to run around with in the food space, we are aware of it. At least, I am. And you can really kind of tell and look at someone and really almost diagnose them. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I can certainly go, oh, he's got liver problems or she has this or that. So it becomes pretty obvious when you start diving down this rabbit hole. So that's that. So again, we're leveling up your life force. So truths, protein. You're like, Joe, we're eating plants, so where do I get my protein? Well, I'm going to say the same place animals do. So, and you're going, what? That's right. Animals, cows, steak, all these things, these meats that people eat, do you know where they really get their protein? Grass, plants. That is where they, the amino acids. So let me kind of step back for a second. The amino acid, so it's not really the protein that's important, it's the amino acid. The amino acids are the building blocks for life, and they are the building blocks for protein. I still remember, and I can't remember the guy's name, but and this probably happened maybe 5 years ago. What is it? Conor McGregor, the world champion wrestler dude in the cage wrestling or fighting or whatever it is. I don't really watch it. But the first time he fought this vegan dude, the vegan dude took him down and took the championship from him. And McGregor was like going, he's a plant eater. I'm eating my steak. Let me tell you, he lost a lot. So, and you Google it. I don't remember his name, but anyway, it's kind of fun. Anyway, when I say fun, there are a lot of vegan athletes, Olympians that have won multiple gold medals, Jesse Owens, and just there's amazing, like I said, athletes and success stories. And not only success stories around performance, but around healing. And speaking about performance, one of the things that I do want to talk about with meat is that Just as meat clogs your heart, and it does, the cholesterol, and I've seen plenty and been with doctors and actually seen them draw blood and the cloudiness of the blood, and it takes hours and it slows down the ability for the body to circulate blood and metabolize certain things within the blood. But if you think about if meat does that to your heart, I talked about sex earlier, guess what it does to the vessels down there for men. This is why this whole blue pill thing was so important. But I can tell you, vegans, raw foodists, don't really need that blue pill because we don't have a issue with constriction with blood. And that's something that even like people that have had heart conditions that have gone on a plant-based diet have gotten rid of the heart, been cured because their body is now circulating. And once your body is naturally healing itself all of the time. And so you take out the things that are toxifying the body and you nutrify the body, the heart becomes clean. The body becomes clean. You restore yourself. There are people in, unfortunately, the traditional medical association has come down on these people. They've had to go to Mexico and different places. But if you look at the Gershon therapy and different things, which is drinking carrot juice and doing some other things, you have people that are on their very last legs of cancer, and they're going to die within 2 months, a month. And they start these plant-based protocols. No meat, and they get well. And 20 years later, they're well again. Well, and you're going, well, so what, Joe? People get healed from cancer all the time. Well, again, they manipulate the statistics. So, give you a great example. So, when they used to talk about the survivor rate of people living 5 years or longer, when technology got better and they were able to diagnose cancer earlier in a person, that 5 years now became 7 years because they were able to diagnose it 2 years earlier. Interesting way they could play with the stats like that. And I can go into a lot of different stats that these people play with. But my point is we're here to talk about this harmonic temple and leveling up. So let's see, what's next? Oh, one of the interesting things that most people don't get because they think that we're supposed to eat meat because we have canine teeth, right? We're like part vampire or something, but that's not true. We are, even in the Garden of Eden, we are designed to eat plants. I mean, it's just the way we're made. So to give you a great example, let's look at the intestinal system of a human being. It's approximately 22 feet long, which is 6.7 meters. So these intestines have different villi, little hairs and things that the food passes through in order to absorb the food. Now, when you look at a carnivore, like a lion or some of these other animals that are carnivores, they eat meat and they rip the meat off. They don't chew it, they eat it. Their digestive system is roughly, intestinal system I should say, is roughly 3 feet. So they process it. Their stomach is highly acidic because they've got to break the food down very quickly. And that's why you see the lions in Africa, I mean, after they go for a chase and they eat, they have to rest because it's a tremendous amount of work for any carnivore to digest that amount of meat. So I talked about the smell, which there's no really other way to say it, because again, if you're eating meat and you're not operating fully, that meat or whatever it might be, chicken, pork, whatever, so that is rotting in your system. So when you are running or starting to sweat and you start smelling, that is rotting flesh inside of your body. I know, this is a real motivational talk, right? So another interesting thing that I want to share about plants is that chlorophyll is the exact same atomic structure as hemoglobin, as our blood. As a matter of fact, they used to use this in World War I as a transfusion, for blood transfusions. And the cool thing about this is I think it's kind of cool, and I don't know if this is, anyway, if you like, because I'm a big plant guy, plants also have intelligence. And so when you're consuming this, you're actually tied into the mycelium, if you will, the energetic network of Mother Earth. And actually, I've gotten some really keen insights that I would not have ever gotten if it wasn't for plants. And I know these plants were assisting me and guiding me. So in addition to spirit, you've got to remember that Gaia, Mother Earth, is also this tremendous entity and force. So this intelligence is real, and plants are intelligent, and that has actually been proven time and time again by various, even real-world experiments, not just like things that you might kind of want to think they're made up. So getting back to chlorophyll and the blood plasma, again, it's, as suns blossom, and of course, I'm the big law of blossoming guy, we Nutrify, because I certainly believe that the plants in our body, when we're out in the sun, strengthen us. And see, that's another misnomer, is skin cancer. And you're like going, Joe, skin cancer is real. Well, yes and no, because if you look at the parabens and the petroleum products that are in the majority of skincare products, from Carmex to suntan lotion, what they have done is suntan lotion has tremendous amount of chemicals in them, petroleum-based chemicals. Any petroleum-based chemical is cancer-causing, period. I mean, Vaseline, whatever it might be. So use all natural products when you're out in the sun. Now, you might get skin damage, but it's not going to create a cancerous event. Skin cancers really didn't start happening until, well, probably 100 so years ago. And trust me, I've done my research on this. I've talked to some of the top doctors in the world. But I encourage you to do your own research. So again, magnesium versus iron, or heme, in the blood. So the adulteration of food, what do these companies do? And believe it or not, some of these companies, like Monsanto, was acquired by the German company that produced the most toxic chemicals in the war, like just to kill people. I mean, these people are evil. And what they've done with seeds and plants here in the United States and all over the world, again, is to steal your power, to lower your life force. So genetically modified organisms. This is biotoxicity. This is not what God meant for us to eat. They've actually corrupted the food structure, and they've changed it and altered it. They spray it with pesticides, glyphosate, which is a huge cancer-causing drug. DDT, which they banned in the, I think, the 50s or the 60s. I don't remember the exact date now. That has a life expectancy, I think, of like 100, maybe 150 years in the soil. So they're still planting crops in the same fields that they used for sprayed with DDT 50, 100 years ago, and it's still coming up in the crops. So again, I want to encourage you to eat organic foods. Fast foods. Obviously, with everything that you've just heard, fast foods are not good. They're processed. They've got, I heard that each hamburger you would get, let's say at a McDonald's or some fast food place, has over 1,000 cows in it. Now, 1,000 cows that make up one hamburger. That's how kind of, for me, disgusting, because I've actually looked at the living structures and how these animals are treated. So if you're eating something that is not grass-fed beef, that is organic, and the farmer, then not only are you getting toxicity, but you're also getting just this fear, which is infused in the blood, because these the living conditions, what they do, are just absolutely at horrid. I mean, it's just, it is like a concentration camp. I mean, as a matter of fact, the country with the most vegans is Israel. Funny enough, why is that? Well, because of what they do in these CAFOs, which is where they raise cows and other animals for slaughter, is worse than a concentration camp during World War II, during that reign. So just something to be aware of, that the atrocities on animals is beyond. And when God back talked about us taking dominion over the animals, it doesn't mean we were supposed to slaughter them. It means that we're supposed to protect them and take care of them. Oh, this is going to be something really interesting, is that within processed foods, they have nanobots. Yeah, nanobots. And of course, there are nanobots in other things now. But nanobots are actually put in the food. So if you eat food from a fast food restaurant, and maybe even like a kind of a middle lower class type restaurant, those nanobots actually permeate in your body, and they're able to track you up to 6 months after you've eaten a hamburger from one of these places. Now, it's not the intelligent nanobots or nanotechnology they're using in the current V today, but it still is something that they have used for 20 plus years in tracking you and geo-targeting for a number of different reasons. But it's, again, you're eating nanobots. And again, what does all this do with the toxicity and the things that they have put into these foods? Well, it lowers your immune system. So like I talked about life force, let's look at the immune system from 0 to 100. So if your body is more toxic and you are adding to that toxicity, at 100, your body starts collapsing. And then once it gets to around 30% or less, and I can share this with you, we all have cancer cells in our body, but our immune system is so strong that it just thwarts them. It does not allow cancer to prosper. And 99% of all cancers are able to be cured naturally. And you're going, okay, Joe, whatever. But I've just been around enough naturopathic doctors to know, unless it's some kind of crazy environmental type of cancer where you've been around asbestos and you breathe the fibers into your lungs, then that is difficult to cure. But other types of things that are based on this type of toxicity is very curable and restorable. And one of the other things I meant to mention, in addition to genetically modified organisms, GMO foods, is hybridization. So what is hybridization? So GMO is mixing up different plants to create this Franken plant, designed to really steal the nutrification from you and take your power away. Hybridization is similar, but they use the same plant. So they're taking different strains of the same plant, like wheat. So wheat, 1,000 years ago, was something that we could consume. But today, because it's been hybridized so many times, and what they'll say is it's been hybridized in order to withstand the rain. So the rain and the winds and this and that, but they've made it so that it's indestructible. It's also indestructible in our system. And so what that means is that the hybridized wheat lays down the villi, which is celiac disease, which is what keeps celiacs from being able to process the nutrients they need in order to live. And then it causes a bunch of other crazy things like bloating and different that. But it really is essentially shutting down your body's ability to nutrify itself. Well, I had a lot more stuff to talk about, but this video I'm going to cut it off at 30 minutes, and I will do a part 2. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me questions, because this is a very passionate thing of mine, and I love you guys, and I really want this harmonic tempo to resonate at these higher living frequencies, increasing your life force so that you have this great solar connection. So you heal and mend, and your minds are just as sharp as a tack, and all these great things in brain fog and the fat and everything, and it's a holistic approach where modern medicine actually takes a targeted approach. This is a holistic approach, because when your body is healed, it operates holistically, and you don't need to target, because your body just takes care of itself. So I will see you in part 2. I love you very much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.